You've been eating less, training harder, and still the fat won't move. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because the problem isn't your willpower, it's your biology fighting back. And once you understand what's actually happening inside your body when you cut calories, you'll never approach fat loss the same way again. Here's the truth that most fitness influencers won't tell you. Your body doesn't want to be lean. It treats leanness as a threat. The moment you drop calories too low, your hypothalamus, the command center of your metabolism, detects the deficit and triggers something called adaptive thermogenesis, which is a fancy term for your body deliberately slowing your metabolism to match your lower intake. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show that aggressive caloric restriction can reduce your total daily energy expenditure by up to 25% beyond what you'd expect just from losing weight, meaning your body is actively working against you, burning fewer calories at rest, making you more tired so you move less, and ramping up hunger hormones like ghrelin, while simultaneously dropping satiety hormones like leptin and peptide YY. This is why crash diets feel like torture. You're not weak, you're literally fighting a hormonal war inside your own body. But here's where it gets interesting, because science has also found the exact way to work with your biology instead of against it. And it all starts with understanding that fat loss is not about eating as little as possible. It's about eating as strategically as possible. The first weapon in your arsenal is protein, and I don't just mean eating more chicken. I mean understanding why protein is metabolically privileged. When you eat protein, your body burns roughly 20 to 30% of its caloric value just in the process of digesting it, a phenomenon called the thermic effect of food. Carbs burn about 5 to 10%, fats burn about 0 to 3%, but protein forces your body to work hard just to break it down. On top of that, a 2020 meta-analysis in the Journal of Obesity found that high-protein diets significantly preserve lean muscle mass during a caloric deficit. And this matters enormously because muscle is metabolically expensive. Every pound of muscle you carry burns roughly 6 to 10 calories per day at rest. So preserving it keeps your metabolism from collapsing. Aim for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight daily, prioritize it at every single meal, and you've already solved half the starvation equation. The second piece is something called diet breaks and refeeds, and this is where the psychology of dieting and the physiology of fat loss intersect in a really powerful way. A refeed is a planned, strategic increase in calories, specifically carbohydrates, for 1 to 2 days, usually once every 2 to 4 weeks of dieting. When you refeed, you temporarily restore leptin levels, which signals your brain that you're not starving, which in turn allows your thyroid hormones to normalize and your metabolic rate to recover. Research from the Matador study, minimizing adaptive thermogenesis and deactivating obesity rebound, found that people who dieted with 2-week breaks lost the same amount of fat as continuous dieters, but preserved significantly more muscle and had a much higher metabolic rate by the end of the study. Beyond the physiology, refeeds do something crucial psychologically. They give you a finish line to run toward instead of an endless gray tunnel of restriction. When you know you have a higher calorie day on Saturday, the discipline required on Thursday becomes psychologically manageable. And this is exactly what behavioral psychology calls temporal motivation theory. The closer a reward is in time, the more motivated you are to work toward it. The third strategy is resistance training, and I know you've heard this before, but let me tell you the mechanism most people miss. When you lift weights in a caloric deficit, you send a powerful anabolic signal to your muscle tissue that essentially tells your body, this muscle is necessary for survival. Do not break it down. This process is mediated by mTOR activation and muscle protein synthesis, and it directly counteracts the catabolic signal that a caloric deficit sends. A landmark study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that individuals who combined resistance training with a caloric deficit preserved nearly all of their lean muscle mass while losing fat, compared to cardio-only groups who lost significant muscle alongside fat. And here's the compound effect. The more muscle you preserve, the higher your resting metabolic rate stays, the more calories you burn at rest, the easier the deficit becomes, and the less you have to restrict. It becomes a self-reinforcing positive loop rather than the vicious cycle of starvation and rebound that most people experience. Now let's talk about the psychological dimension, because this is where most fitness content completely fails you. The research on ego depletion by Roy Baumeister showed that willpower is a finite resource. Every decision you make, every moment you resist temptation, draws from the same mental battery, and when that battery runs low, you make worse decisions. This is why dieters who rely purely on willpower almost always fail by evening. Their battery is drained from a full day of decisions. The solution isn't more willpower, it's architecting your environment so that willpower becomes unnecessary. Keep processed food out of your home entirely. Not because you can't control yourself, but because friction is the enemy of impulse. Studies show that simply making unhealthy food less visible and less accessible reduces consumption by up to 25% without any conscious effort. Pre-prepare your meals, decide your food choices in advance when you're in a satiated, rational state rather than a hungry, impulsive one, and use implementation intentions, a psychological technique where you plan specific behaviors in the format of, when X happens, I will do Y. Because research by Peter Gollwitzer found that implementation intentions increase goal achievement rates by 200 to 300% compared to just having a vague goal. The fourth and final principle is what I call the minimum effective dose of cardio, doing exactly enough cardiovascular exercise to create additional caloric expenditure without triggering the compensatory mechanisms that tank your metabolism further. High amounts of steady-state cardio, especially when combined with aggressive caloric restriction, actually elevate cortisol chronically, which increases muscle breakdown, impairs sleep quality, increases hunger, and paradoxically makes fat loss harder over time. Instead, prioritize 2 to 3 sessions of moderate intensity cardio per week, a 30 to 40-minute brisk walk, a 20-minute incline treadmill session, just enough to create a few hundred calories of additional deficit without spiking cortisol, without tanking your recovery, and without giving your hypothalamus another reason to downregulate your metabolism. Walking in particular is drastically underrated. It burns calories without significantly elevating cortisol, it improves insulin sensitivity, it reduces psychological stress, and it doesn't require recovery the way intense exercise does, meaning you can do it daily without interfering with your resistance training performance. So here's the complete blueprint. Eat 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Create a modest caloric deficit of 300 to 500 calories, below maintenance rather than a dramatic slash. Lift weights 3 to 4 times per week to preserve muscle and keep your metabolism elevated. Take strategic refeeds every 2 to 4 weeks to restore leptin and recover metabolic rate. Architect your environment to remove the need for willpower and use walking as your primary cardio tool. This is not a program of starvation. This is a program of intelligent biological management. And the difference between the two is the difference between someone who loses 20 pounds and keeps it off forever versus someone who loses 20 pounds and gains back 25. Your body is not your enemy. It's just trying to survive. And once you give it the right signals, enough protein, enough resistance training stimulus, strategic caloric management, and psychological systems that don't rely on willpower, it will work with you, and you will get lean without ever having to starve again.